Perfect.
Perfect. All right. We're live in the Facebook group. We are recording and appreciate you guys jumping out here for our impromptu OA Live. We're calling it a family meeting. Those of you guys saw the post in the group this morning that Amazon has thrown another curveball in this epidemic that's happening in our country. So we wanted to pop out and just have a little family meeting with you guys today and talk about how does this change things? What's changing? How are we responding to it? What's our plan of action moving forward? And we wanted to have this conversation with you guys, and there's a lot of fear and craziness happening in the marketplace today. So first and foremost, Grant, I'm joined by Grant Dunn and Taylor. So this is our internal leadership team. Looks like Grant's screen has frozen. Taylor, are you still there, man?
Yeah, I'm still here.
All right, cool. So here's what we're going to do for this family meeting, guys. We're live in the group. I want to talk first about these the shipping restrictions. And Taylor, I want to thank you for sending out an email. We've sent you guys, if you're a subscriber of OA Cheddar, we sent you an email this morning with our official response and our plan of action if you prefer to read it. So we want to jump out here today and talk about this with you all, and we'll probably post this information on YouTube for the community to watch afterwards. So Taylor, I want to talk first, man, about these categories that are restricted, and then we've already met with our team this morning in our response to this. So you want to kind of give just a quick recap, man, on the category changes and then what we're doing to adjust for this.
Yeah. So like many of you know, Amazon has come out and in the attempt to take care of the high demand for certain items in their in the Amazon marketplace, they are changing they're restricting what you can send into FBA right now, so they can focus in on those high demand products. Things like grocery items, health items, home goods, things like that you're already seeing at the retail stores and store, that shelves are being cleared of. Same thing's happening to Amazon as well. So this is their attempt to try to fix that and to get those high demand products out to the customers as best as possible. So they've restricted items, basically every item that's not in the baby products, health and household, beauty and personal care, grocery, industrial and scientific, and pet supplies category right now is not being limited to what you can send into Amazon FBA. I also did check with Inventory Lab, and which is what we used for all of our shipping and inventory things like that. And they are actually allowing us, so you can actually scan the product and it will give you an error if the item is not allowed to be sent into FBA, which is nice to be able to check what we can and what we cannot send in. Our response to that, meeting with the team this morning and talking with them again, is we are going to focus our attention on the categories that can be fulfilled by Amazon and that can be sent in. We are also going to be focusing on smaller items that are easily merchant fulfilled. So that way, those of you who are running your store are able to start selling products and still ship stuff in. You'll just have to change up your model of doing that. And then also, we still will be sharing high profit FBA items that you can buy, hold back, and then once all this passes, send it into FBA and should be able to make a profit on it. One of the things that I'm starting to see and just talking with Grant and Gabe earlier today, wouldn't be surprised if there's going to be more sales that are happening now at these retailers, for items. I noticed today that Macy's actually put out a 30% flash sale, because they're also getting hurt. The brick and mortar stores are getting hurt by this coronavirus thing. They're going to try pushing out their inventory. So there might be some great opportunity that's there during this time. So we're also going to be sharing any high profit FBA leads as well. So that's kind of what our plan is right now, is to focus in on those categories that we know we can send in via FBA, focus in on the products that are easily merchant fulfillable. So these are going to be smaller items. They're not going to be larger items, so it'll be easier to ship. And then still be looking for the best of the best when it comes to FBA, items that are worth purchasing right now, storing, and then sending back into FBA.
Yeah, man. Well, thank you for going through that, Taylor. This is like, guys, we're as surprised as you are when this stuff comes out. Like, I woke up this morning, checked my phone, there's breaking news that Amazon's closing shipping. And this couldn't come at a worse time for us. I've got a new private label product that we just got ready to launch. And it's not in one of those categories, so now I got to wait. I got to wait till April 5th to launch that. What does that mean for arbitrage stuff? So Amazon's obviously adjusting. So there's a lot of changes that are happening. And the big message we want to leave you guys with today is to have peace in the midst of all these changes. And we're going to talk about that at the end of the webinar. A lot of people freak out with change, and I want you to know as an entrepreneur that change is good. And I told this to Grant and Taylor offline. I'll tell you guys today, when change happens in the Amazon world, it shakes the tree. And in my humble opinion, some of the weaker sellers with weaker hands are going to freak out and leave the space, and it's going to leave opportunity for experienced sellers who know what to do. So our initial response to, Amazon's obviously doing what they can for this epidemic. I was just before this webinar, I was out shopping. Sarah and I have been gone for a couple days, and I was out shopping because we got no food in the house. And stores are in Chicago, at least, a lot of the stores, the shelves are clean, man. Costco still had stuff. Costco's out of toilet paper, but they still had a lot of other stuff. Whole Foods, the shelves were clean. I'm talking perishable stuff, canned goods, stuff like that. So it's just crazy to see this stuff happening. Amazon obviously wants to meet that and make sure that people are getting the necessity items. So that's why we're seeing the shift. So, to adjust accordingly, Taylor already met with our sourcing agents and our team this morning, and we have, just like Taylor had mentioned, we're going to tailor all of our lead generation efforts to these categories that you can still send shipments into, as well to small and light things. So, a couple things you can do during this time. Grant, you mentioned kind of your 3 core strategies during this time, and I want to pivot. I want to offer this as a perspective. Look through this crisis. I want you guys, a lot of people get stuck in fear and oh my gosh, I can't send stuff in for 3 weeks. Guys, hear me clearly. This will pass. If it's a 3-week long thing, if it's a 6-week long thing, look at your season as a whole. So start thinking about Q4. Grant, you guys said internally you have kind of a 3-pronged response to this. You're going to obviously tailor your shipping for response 1 into the products you can send in. Yep. Number 2, you talked about buy and hold. So there is some things you guys are going to buy and hold. And then do you mind, I forget what the 3rd thing is you guys said that you guys were going to be doing. Do you remember?
Go ahead, buddy.
Well, I was going to say we're going to be switching our model to a merchant fulfill model.
FBM, that's right.
Yep.
So you guys are going to be sending FBM stuff in as well as how you're going to tailor towards it. So cool. Grant, anything else you want to comment on what's happening?
Yeah, man. It's crazy. I've been kind of hanging low for pretty much since all this started, thinking it's probably eventually going to blow over in the near future. And I was going to let all of the, the people that are clearing the shelves at the stores, I was going to kind of let that, fade away and wait for the stores to fill back up. But as things are really starting to get crazy, it wasn't until yesterday I finally was like, all right, it's time to go and get prepared. Worst case scenario, let's start thinking about what's going on, at least on a personal level. And so we went and spent some money at Costco and even went back again today. Ashley said they were handing out toilet paper, one bundle per customer. And and she got there at opening, and by the time she got in there was no more toilet paper. It was that quick. And so,
I don't get why that's happening. We'll talk about that in a second.
Yeah, she was able to get baby wipes, so that's good. But yeah, it's nuts. I mean, to be honest with you, that was quite a shock. But this morning to see that Amazon is changing, and not just because they need to meet demand, but they're also overwhelmed with how much buying is happening on the Amazon platform right now, which is nuts. So it's really twofold. And I think the other thing that I want to be prepared for too, as we're talking about this, is as of right now, Amazon's saying that they're going to, go back to normal operations with FBA by the 5th of April, but it's possible that they're going to update us again, and it's going to be the 5th of May or further down the road. And we don't really know. I mean, at the level that our government federally and on a state level in Washington is, rolling out changes, I think that it's safe to say that, we need to be prepared for this to be something that, goes on for a while. It's cool that Amazon is going to be hiring. They're currently in the process of hiring 100,000 more full-time and part-time employees. So they're obviously taking an aggressive action. And I think something else to consider, some people have come to me, and I actually have one person actually come to me and say, hey, I think I want to cancel this one of his subscriptions while he waits for things to fizzle out and see where things land. Here's something to consider. if Amazon is restricting the shipment of products like toys and games, shoes, clothing, etc., and really focusing on the household essentials type stuff and groceries and whatnot, there will be there's still demand for those products, and those products will continue to be sold on Amazon. And without the influx of FBA inventory over the next the next 3 to 4 weeks, or however long it's going to be, let's say 3 weeks right now, I would imagine that stock levels will go down, which we know how, supply and demand works in this industry, right? The prices will start to go up. So to some degree, I'm going to be playing kind of the long game too. We're going to be doing and we talked about this already, but we're going to do the merchant fulfill stuff. We're going to send into FBA the items that Amazon wants right now. Right. But we're also going to be considering what does it look like to hold inventory and hopefully see the price go up. I mean, there could be some seriously awesome opportunity with this, where the prices go up on stuff as supply goes down, and then we're going to be the first ones to be shipping in, I say pallets, but we don't ship pallets, but shipping in, 100 boxes, maybe, who knows, of regular FBA inventory. That's kind of our normal bread and butter type of stuff. And we hope to see higher prices at that point, and maybe making a really nice profit from that stuff. So it's all kind of, you're playing a game, and we don't really know exactly how things are going to turn out. But again, we'll just be watching the market, watching what's happening, watch prices, right? You're going to continue to get, lead from OA Cheddar that isn't just in these categories. Because here's the thing, guys, this stuff is sold out everywhere, right? The stuff that Amazon wants isn't just sold out on Amazon. It's sold out on Walmart. It's sold out on all of these major retailers. So be prepared as we are, aggressively making a shift in how we source, right, and what type of items we're looking for. It is very possible that we're going to have a hard time finding it because it's sold out, right? So again, you're still going to see normal inventory on our list, especially as we're making this transition over the next few days. But consider the long game too, right? There's a couple different strategies here. Now, I'm not going to tell you to go and invest 50 or 60 or 70% of your inventory and buy, hold, and ship it in, when the restrictions are dropped. But definitely be considering spending a portion of your budget on that. And don't, here's the thing too, if you're not shipping into FBA and you're not buying, your business is going to hurt more. Yeah. Even after these restrictions are lifted, if you're not prepared to ship a ton of stuff in, right? When the restrictions are lifted, you want to have inventory, especially if you have a team or you as an individual and your family depends on this income. You're going to take a way bigger hit if you don't continue to operate and spend your normal budget. And we'll see what happens. I mean, this, try to fill the gap with merchant fulfill and stuff like that, but don't get caught with your pants down, when the restrictions are lifted.
So that's a good point. And this is why we wanted to just pop out and have this conversation with you guys. So Grant, I want to talk about what not to do, because I'm a big believer when everybody zigs, you want to zag. And so right now, everyone's letting fear drive a ton of decisions. So what definitely not to do would be to stop everything. Don't do that. You want to keep forward momentum in your business. Grant, I want to use you guys as an example. So let me ask a couple just rapid fire questions, if you don't mind, about kind of internal stuff that's happening behind the scenes for you guys. How are you guys shifting RA versus OA? Are you stopping RA? Are you moving like more towards OA, or what's happening there?
We went 100% OA. Taylor, was it about 3 or 4 weeks ago? Yeah. We literally have not gone retail arbitrage shopping in a while, because we have so much opportunity with OA Cheddar and Amazon flips with OA Cheddar. Like we could spend more than on OA than and it's for way less input. So we're actually 100% online arbitrage right now. Okay.
So thank you. I wanted to clarify that, because you guys have been making a shift. For those of you guys that have been following along for a couple years, I mean, you guys are 4 or 5 years, and you've been heavy. You started off heavy exclusive. All right, you've made the transition. I didn't realize you guys were totally OA at this point. Buying exclusively off of OA Cheddar. You guys buy off the same lead list. There's no secret lead list. Taylor, you're sourcing off of the same OA Cheddars. Obviously, you've got access to all of them. As far as how you're shifting your strategy now after the announcements, I saw while we were gone, Chicago closed down restaurants and bars. I was just at Costco today, and they had pulled out all of the seating areas. So you can't sit in restaurants anymore. So I forgive my forgive or don't forgive my optimism. I always look at, and I want to talk about each of your perspectives, guys, because there's something bigger that's happening here, and I want to discuss that today. Anytime there's a shift like this, man, my ears perk up as an entrepreneur. I'm like, I smell opportunity. I'm like, this is going to change things. This is going to change things for the better in the long run. And I look at the long-term perspective, man. Don't look at the next 2-3 weeks and get your head stuck in the mud. You're watching the news and stuff. Look beyond the crisis. Look 6 weeks out, look 2 months out. The internet's not going to close, right? Amazon's not going to close. If anything, Amazon's going to grow. Grant, you saw that. I saw the same article you did. They've hired 100,000 people. They're stocking up. They're doubling down. OA Cheddar, just so you guys know, we're doubling down. We started stocking up. We've been staffing up and hiring as fast as we can in preparation for Q4. So look past, that's my first message, look past the drama. Grant, as far as how you guys are shifting your OA budget. So with this new news, Amazon released this morning with the categories between the 3 strategies. So buying in open categories, 1, doing buy and hold, 2, and then 3, merchant fulfilling. I know I'm putting you on the spot, but how are you allocating your budget? If you've got 100%, how much are you planning on putting towards each of these categories? Let's just say over the next month here.
Well, it's a great question that I don't believe we have an answer for quite yet, because we literally got this news this morning, and we're going to be making a shift and again, informing our team on, the direction that we're going to be moving in order to kind of fill this gap during these restrictions. We don't know yet. It's going to really depend on how much of the household essential type stuff can we find, right? How much of it is available with these other merchants and these brand stores that we can source. And to be honest with you, I mean, we may find that it's a very limited scope, right? That we're if we can fill our lists up 90% full of this type of stuff, we absolutely will. That's the ultimate goal.
Okay.
But I would say, yeah, it's a hard question to answer at this point.
Yeah, I just wanted to give some parameter, right? This is going to change and grow. We're going to communicate with you guys openly. So this is the first of many conversations. We'll probably end up popping out weekly or some form of that to give you guys updates. Yeah. So you're planning on, we've already shifted, Taylor, you had a meeting with the team this morning. We've already shifted lead generation efforts to these we're calling it household essentials. So the categories that are open. So you're going to see the OA Cheddar list changing over the next couple of days and even the next couple of weeks to reflect that. We're going to get as much of that stuff as we can find for you guys. That's first order of business. The buy and hold stuff, that's a smaller part of your budget. That's what I want to make a point. So just to clarify though, you're not stopping. Stopping is that's what not to do. If you hear what to do in this webinar, hear what not to do. Don't stop. So you're not going to stop buying shoes and clothing. You're just going to buy less of that, but you are still buying that to hold, to be ready on the 5th when that opens up to get that stuff in. And I noticed something about you, Grant, you and Taylor, you guys are always fast. So there's going to be a window, there's going to be a little window before people can get stuff. So if you wait till that opens and you go sourcing, you're going to be 2-3 weeks behind. So you're going to have some of that. And then how about FBM? How much have you guys been out of forget the coronavirus, pre-coronavirus, how much FBM were you guys doing then? And do you plan to do more or less, I guess, than what you've been doing?
So, yeah, Taylor, go ahead and answer that one.
So before when we were doing RA, rarely would we ever FBM an item. We just try to avoid it because we didn't see the value in it. With OA Cheddar, with switching to this online arbitrage change that we found that there's quite a bit of items that we can do that with. So our FBM game has stepped up quite a bit. With online arbitrage, you're buying a lot more makeups, you're buying perfumes, deodorants, things like that you're able to easily slip into a packing envelope or a small box and send to the customer. So before, when we weren't really doing much at all, now we have a table in our garage or in our warehouse that is all FBM products, and we see those sales come through a couple times a day. Moving forward into this new 2.5 week period, maybe a little bit longer, we're just going to ramp that up. So the same makeups, things like that are arriving, that are sitting in the garage right now. Charles is figuring out what can we send into FBA, what can't we send into FBA, and we'll start merchant fulfilling whatever we can. We're also in the process of taking a look at our shipping materials. What size is it going to be too large to FBM? And then we'll stick to those parameters moving forward with purchasing, as well as purchasing items while the opportunity is there. If we stop buying now in our business, we're just going to create a problem, later on down the road.
Right. So
let's keep purchasing. Let's keep stocking up. We'll ride out the storm, and then we'll flood the market with inventory. And like Grant said before, we're extremely hopeful and that what you're going to see is you're going to see demand go up for a lot of items that are not going to be in Amazon. And when that opens up and you're dropping those back into the system, it's gonna return well. So
here, well said, Taylor. Write this down, guys, if you're watching. Okay, change is good. Okay, write this down. Change is good. I want you guys, part of why we wanted to come live here, there's so much negative media. We wanted to do some programming with you guys today to give you some things to focus on, because it's so easy, man. And I just see that human nature is such a silly thing. I bet you half of Amazon sellers, more than half, probably 80% of Amazon sellers are freaking out and the herd's running. Just stop, recognize the herd's running, and you don't have to always run. So I like to look, again, zig when people zag, look for opportunities. Taylor, so you guys are going to continue to buy as usual. You're going to shift some of your budget. So you guys are shifting to these home good essentials, and you guys are taking a long-term approach. So I think that's wise to look past this. It's so easy, man, especially I'm in all these different Facebook groups just like you guys are, and there's just fear running rampant. So just recognize it for what it is. And I'm going to ask you guys on a more spiritual level, which, we can talk more about. I guess it doesn't really matter why this is happening or what's happening. We just want to be able to be prepared for it. So there is some adjustments. And the reason I say shift and change is good is because when something like this comes up, okay, and Amazon's restricting shipments, a bunch of Amazon sellers did exactly what we told you guys not to do, and they stopped dead in their tracks, and you're just you're fish in a barrel at that point. So don't be like the herd, okay? Zig when people zag, think outside the box, buy through this, and think past this. We said this so many times. I'm going to give you guys a huge gold nugget, Grant. We've talked about this, and we've got a new program that we're working on. We've got a couple new programs that we're working on that's going to help with this more. The data that we're still gathering from your OA Cheddar list, a lot of sellers, guys, this is probably one of the biggest hidden opportunities inside. It's like if you guys shop at, you guys ever go to In-N-Out Burger? Sarah and I were just in California. You know how they have the secret menu? Okay, you can order like a hamburger regular style, or you can order an animal style. Okay, the tip that I'm going to give you right now, and we've given it to you before, this is cheddar animal style. Okay, this is the secret part of our menu. And some of you guys know the secret, some of you guys are new and you don't know the secret. And that is to source off the list. Don't just look at the fresh leads from today. I'm going to tell you guys this. We've said it before, and I don't mind saying it again. 80% of our subscribers get the daily list. They buy off that list, and they never go back into the archive. So I want you to think of OA Cheddar not as a daily lead list. Think of it as an annual lead list. Think about this as your leads for the year, and that this is your database. So the tip is to go back a couple weeks and look for products and recheck to see if they're valid. It doesn't take that much time to go look, and you can pull out of OA Cheddar some really solid replenishables. And I'm telling you guys this because not a lot of people do this. And what we're finding, Taylor, you've been doing a ton of this stuff. You guys have been, your budget, I mean, you guys are good spenders in your arbitrage, but you guys are meeting your budget with Cheddar, and you're running out of stuff to buy because there's so much good stuff. A lot of sellers look for the current stuff, go back a couple weeks. So why am I telling you that? During this season, when we're delivering leads for a couple weeks, this is your data for the year. So you're stocking up leads for Q4. So even past this, when you're in January, February, March, when we're in April and May, there's going to be some good leads that we publish that a lot of sellers are going to skip over, and there's going to be a lot less competition on those. So again, we want you guys to have peace. Cheddar's going to move forward business as usual. We're tweaking our strategy. Hopefully you guys picked up on that secret menu strategy. Grant and Taylor, you guys are shaking your head. I won't talk about our secret project quite yet. I know I'll get in trouble if I pull that stuff out. Just know we've got, we're finding ways to add even more value to the lead list you guys are subscribed to. So let me ask this, since we're on the live webinar, before I get into some of the other stuff, any of you guys have questions about things, questions that directly impact your arbitrage business, questions you want to ask Taylor, Grant, myself about some of the things that we see happening. I want to make sure you guys can ask those. I've got the chat open here, and then I've also got the Facebook pulled up. If you guys see something on Facebook. Okay. Scott Huntley said, Gabe, quit giving my secrets away. So clearly, I mean, some of you guys have heard of this before. Scott, I can say this till I'm blue in my face, man. There's still, people still won't do it all. So, but kudos to you, man. G, you're shaking your hand. Anything you want to add to that?
You know, I was just thinking, isn't it interesting, you know, that, and this isn't a diss on anything else, because obviously there's a lot of good things we can do with Amazon, that is outside of the arbitrage industry, right? But isn't it interesting that most businesses are like the holy grail in everybody's perception of doing Amazon FBA is in wholesale or private label, and those things are good and you should be exploring them, okay? But isn't it interesting how in a crisis, who do you think is going to be filling the gap right now? Now, I don't get me wrong, wholesale will do it. There's private label opportunities as well, but who's going to fill the gap immediately? It's the arbitrage sellers.
It's the hustlers, man. Yep.
It's the hustlers. And so it's actually interesting. I'm realizing, wow, we have a crisis-proof model, right, where we can adjust quickly, right? And that goes, yep, and that goes also with the difference between FBA and merchant fulfill. I mean, I spent a couple of years in this business avoiding merchant fulfilling like the plague because I didn't want to learn how to do it. I was afraid to learn something new and was focused on FBA. But I'm really glad right now that we already have that diversity in our model, so that we can very quickly shift over to a merchant fulfill type of business.
Yep.
So very interesting. How the script is kind of flipping. You know, arbitrage is gonna die. Amazon doesn't want arbitrage sellers. Well, I bet you they want them right now.
True. That's very interesting, Grant. I haven't thought about that. There's certainly, and I've been one of those guys, preaching private label. We made a big shift 2 years ago, and now look what's happening. Like with RPL, it's such a slower model. I'm stuck now with RPL products till April 5th. We can still, or China's back up and running, factories open, so I can still be buying, but you're right. Arbitrage gives you flexibility. It's like the renting model. You can turn on a dime. You guys are hearing this information. We're not sharing this in any other Facebook groups. So you guys are hearing this first. You can turn on a dime and adjust, and we can adjust our sourcing. Thankfully, our entire team works remote. Our whole team, we've got a staff of over 25 now on our team, US and in the Philippines. Everybody works from home, minus Grant. You guys have an office. We do have a Cheddar HQ in Washington that you, Taylor, and Danny get to work out of, but everybody else is remote. I don't know what's going on in East Wenatchee. So we'll keep producing leads. Our team will keep producing leads. Again, stockpile these. There's a question David asked in the group. How can we access the old Cheddar list? The links bring up the current leads. So we've said this before. I'll share this again in case some of you guys are new. Each week we do refresh the links. So the way that you get old data is you've got to save each Google link into your own Google Drive. So when we deliver the list, each day is on a different tab. Each week you want to be saving that, copy and paste and save that list into your Google Drive. And then if you want to go back through and sort everything, you could put it all into one mega list. But that's how you would access the old leads. Now, gosh, there's so much stuff, Grant, I want to talk about. You guys are going to love. We've got a project we've been working on that's going to solve this for you guys. It's going to make everything a lot easier. You're not going to have to go back through and save everything manually. We're actually going to do that for you and compile a mega Cheddar database. I think I can say that without letting the cat out of the bag. But this was planned, and we've already been building this for you guys for a couple months, and it's planned for a summer release. So if you're on the list, I would encourage you wisely to stay on the list and keep your spot, keep getting the data, and the Cheddar's just going to get better come later this summer and come Q4 this year. So let's see here. One other tip I want to share too, and then if you guys got other questions and comments, and then we can keep talking. I saw this in some other groups that if you have a shipment that was open before, so if you were working on a shipment before this got announced this morning, go back into that shipment and you should be able to add new items to that shipment. If I'm correct, you just can't open new shipments with these restricted categories. But if you have one open, you should be able to add to that. So if you had any shipments you were working on, go double check today. If you have any inventory, you can add to that and make one mega shipment. And Grant, we didn't talk about that before, but I saw that posted in a couple different places too. It's another little kind of tip of what's going on. Let's see here. Jeff says, I just shipped over 200 items to Amazon today. Great time to buy and prepare for the future. So nice work, Jeff. Jeff was doing this before the broadcast already. I think we're going to see that, Grant. All of the veteran sellers that I've talked to are definitely on the offensive right now. I think that's the position you want to be in for this situation. Scott says inch deep, mile wide. So very wide. Yep. Daisy, awesome. Daisy, I'm very happy. You've been with us for several years. So especially you guys that have been a part of our groups plural. even before Cheddar. You guys are going to love what we got cooking. This is like, I don't want to hype it up, Graham, but this is industry changing stuff. I won't even use the other word that's coming on the pipe. So good time to be in Cheddar. Cool. I don't see any other questions, man. So we'll have to just keep you guys posted with what's happening with arbitrage. What are we not talking about, man? I don't, let me just do this, man. I want to get, we're transparent families. Let me just do this real quick. I'm going to ask each of you guys on a more personal level, what you think is happening, kind of how you're responding to this. So it isn't just related to your family stuff. Grant, I'll let you start, man. Anything you want to, I mean, what do you think's going on here? Like, I don't know. What are you just noticing from your perspective?
Okay. Well, I won't get into it because I'm a firm believer in not really believing everything, or in some regards anything, when it comes to this type of stuff. I believe that all things are possible. I keep a very open mind in this, in the decision that Amazon's making. I believe that a lot of times we don't get the full truth, or we get a truth that we are that others, organizations, governments, whatever, want us to believe. What I would say is the way I'm responding to this on a personal level, is I'm doing what I need to do to prepare for worst case scenario. Again, I said in the beginning of this call, for most of the last month or so, I've been just hanging low, listening to the different ideas and theories on what's going on, how things are going to, change, in our government or in society, in the workforce. One thing I'll tell you is I will follow the laws of the land, right? When our government tells us that we need to change the way that some of our habits, whether temporary or whatever, I'm gonna abide by that. I'm gonna trust that it's most likely in our best interest, and but I'm also gonna keep an open mind. The other thing is I actually, again, it's cool to be an entrepreneur after 10 years of being an entrepreneur. There was a time when the market shifted, or when conversations were circling in our space, it used to affect me emotionally. Not today. I actually look at this as, like we talked about on this call. I mean, there's a great opportunity here. I don't know if we, as of right now, we haven't fully discovered what all is, possible, and what all the opportunity that's available to us really is. But I'm going to continue to look and search and research and work hard and build our business despite the crisis, and I think that the strong sellers who keep a positive and open mind, and don't let fear, really control decision making, are going to come out on top in this. I think some of the weaker sellers and just in businesses and stuff are going to, they're going to fall flat, and struggle in all of this. But again, I think it's all about, our attitude towards things. So, yeah, I mean, that's kind of a long answer, and I don't pretend to have the answers either. So.
Yeah, I'm not expecting you to. I'm asking this question on a personal level. We're a family business. I think it's helpful for people to know. I think it's helpful for us to communicate during this time. I've got my own opinion about things, and I'll be happy to share that in a second. Real quick, Ralph Cochran just joined us. What's up, Ralph? Good to see you, man. He just made a joke. I think it's a joke. I'm assuming it's a joke because Ralph's a funny guy. He says, "Do you have a Corona list?" So if you're Ralph, if you're just joining us, we're actually making all of OA Cheddar a Corona list. We're tweaking our lead gen at least for the next 3-4 weeks until we get through this season. Most likely Cheddar will go back to normal. At that point, we'll adjust and see if there comes a point in time where we can find a lot of these household essentials. That's a possibility. Grant, we haven't talked about that, but doing I don't want to use that word, but we'll call it a household instead of calling it a Corona list. I think that's a little weird. We'll call it a household essentials list. So if you guys like that, we will do that. For now, we're just adjusting to give you guys inventory that you can keep sending in. I would be curious, Ralph, on your perspective on this, what you guys are doing. Ralph's doing PL and arbitrage and has a team and systems and a couple other businesses he runs. So I'm curious what you're doing, Ralph, if you want to chime in the comments. will Taylor be doing karaoke live since he's not shopping? I'll pay him. Yeah, Taylor's got a built-in.
I can do this right now if you like. I mean,
I can listen. We can do this right now, Ralph. We don't got to wait. Taylor, what's your 30-second clip on what's happening? Just, I mean, everyone's got an opinion. It seems like everyone's an expert, but what's your perspective on what's happening right now?
Do the wise thing. Take care of what you need to take care of. Those who have families, those who have loved ones. Like Grant said, there's a reason why we stay away from each other and sicknesses don't spread. So it's good to, while you're working at home, like you were actually saying, Gabe, that take advantage of this time. Go through your old Cheddar lists. You'll probably start to see some great value in there. I know that we have. So if you are home quarantined, I gave, there's something you can do every day. Man, I can be paranoid and I can get really worked up once they start changing the laws around here pretty quickly. I will admit I was the first one who started calling my family and said, do you have enough supplies? Let's go to the store. Like, my eyes got a little bit bigger and my hands started shaking a little bit because I was thinking about the worst case stuff. And then actually while we were preparing the message today, I was looking up some verses to try to kind of speak into this with more of a spiritual level, because where I come from, I don't have fear in the fact of what can happen tomorrow into my life. Those things those things are real and you have to prepare for those. But in the end of the day, I know Grant, Gabe, myself, our families, we don't have the type of fear of the unknown. So, I reflected back in on Psalms 27, which is a great Psalms for when trouble comes knocking at the door, and how you should handle it. Going back from that verse from John, and just like, the Lord gives us peace, and peace that's not of this world. So we don't have to worry about what is in this world. So today's a little bit different of a day for me. I'll admit I was a little prepper mode the last couple of days. And then today's been one of those, all right, I'm going to relax. Can't control anything. All this stuff's happening. All this stuff will continue to happen. Let's just level head, move forward. When it comes to business, we're going to keep on business as usual. We're going to prepare and just keep doing what we know we can do and adjust. When it comes to a personal level and in our lives, stock up the shelves, make sure you're good for a while if you do have to go into a full quarantine, and then just rest. Take this time to reflect, take this time to relax, help others if you can help others, find peace in that.
So that's good, man. That's a good word. I could feel the Holy Spirit talking through you when you and I were talking earlier, that this is a time to, and my wife said this morning too, this is really a time to seek the Lord and seek the peace that passes understanding, and pray for that for you and your families. And I want to ask you guys to pray for that, not just for our community, but for families to have peace in this season, because we serve a mighty God. He has always been, he always will be, is now, forevermore. And we've had plagues, they've had locusts, there's been floods. This earth's been hit with stuff. We live in a broken, sinful world, and we serve a God of peace that's above and beyond everything that's going on. So you can have peace and refuge in this season, and you don't have to be a crazy prepper. I'm guilty, Taylor too. I've got, Ralph, you said this, he's got a prepper's heart. Listen, I'm into the conspiracy theories. It's easy to get into the prepper mindset. And I do believe, I'll echo what you guys both said. I think there's a season to be responsible and to be prepared, and you do what you can for your family, and then life's going to go on. Personally, I believe, I don't even want to get into this. I'm almost afraid to say some of this stuff live. I don't know why this is happening. It just smells fishy to me personally. I don't, being an elder millennial, I don't trust the media. I don't trust what they're telling us per se. I'm not saying it's wrong. I just don't believe it's 100% the right story. I think there's a lot of things going on in the world. I shared this live on my Instagram this afternoon. If you guys follow that we've had other plagues and epidemics that have way more severe consequences. Like if you go back and look at the swine flu, I think it was 2009, the number of infected and number of death rate was astronomically larger than what we're seeing right now. But how come back then it wasn't really that big of, it was a deal, but it wasn't like full quarantine. And how come now we're experiencing full quarantine and they're closing the streets down? I've got, I'm paying attention to what's happening around the world. So I've got a sister actually that lives in France. Her and her husband are missionaries there, and in France they have closed. They're in some kind of a quarantine. They've closed the streets down, and they actually have they get fined if they leave the house. There's police patrolling the streets, and they get a fine. Now, I don't know why this is happening. I do believe there's some kind of a potential geopolitical thing going on. Could be, I don't know. I don't even want to open it up. I just don't think it's exactly what they're telling us. Personally, our family, it's been a light season. Like, I just got back from a trip, so we are stocking up on stuff. It's kind of like the phases, right? You go through that phase, but it's going to be business as usual. Sarah may work from home more frequently. Thankfully, we have a home-based business. I'm super grateful. I don't know, Grant, if you and Taylor can relate to this gratitude, and Ralph, I'm super grateful that God has given us a home-based business that we can run remotely, and I can jump on a Zoom with you guys, and we don't have to leave the house. We can go and prosper as usual. And I plan to double down. I'm looking for the opportunities. As entrepreneurs, this is going to shift things up and shake things up, and it's going to create opportunity. Grant, I think you said it well, especially as arbitrage in the arbitrage space. You guys have the gift. You can pivot. You can turn quickly. So lots of stuff going on. I'm suspicious, though. Personally, I'm suspicious that this isn't what it's all shaped up to be. If it wasn't happening all over the world, I'd also be suspicious that it's an election year. And typically people don't like change. And so typically when you got stuff going on, if you look at the history, there's been a lot of weird things that happen on election year also. I don't know if that's related. Could be, could not be. One thing I do know is it's not doom and gloom around the Strom house. If anything, we have tons of peace, tons of love. I'm using this as a time to focus on our family. We've been spending time with Faith. I'll be working as usual. And I want to find time to connect with really good friends via the phone and Zoom and these kind of things too. So it's a season of that. You don't have to just because some things close down, stores close down, you don't got to freak out. And it's not the end of the world. I'm definitely not in that camp. I'm not in the extreme prepping worst case scenario. Could worst case scenario happen? Possibly. My prediction though is it's probably going to be more like a hiccup in our economy for a couple weeks. And then it should be business back to usual in the arbitrage space. Minus it'll be a few changes. Things will be a little different than they were before. So that's what I think is going on. Again, take our opinions with a grain of salt. This is our opinions. Time will tell what will happen. I saw a compliment in here. Taylor, Ralph said, did Taylor lose 50 pounds? He's looking good. So Taylor has been in the gym. You are looking good, Taylor. I was going to tell you that, man. You look bright. You clean it. Things have been looking good.
This coronavirus has given me a reason not to be at the gym, even though.
Do the home workout, man. I've got a buddy that I follow on Instagram that's going to be doing home workouts at 5 p.m. or 6 p.m. Eastern every day. If you guys want, I could share that with you offline. I'll be doing more stuff at home. You can still do push-ups and sit-ups, right? So.
I'll tell you who's giving me a run for my money, actually, is Grant. He's on the phone right now, but Grant and I have been taking a better approach to our health, but he's starting to whoop my butt. I haven't been at the gym as regular as I should for the last month and a half. And
man.
He has. So.
Yeah, man. So don't stop what you're doing, guys. That's the message. I see a bunch of agreement here. Scott Hadley, Daisy, Cindy, I appreciate that. And even if you guys don't, I know it's kind of a bold stance. A lot of people probably would strongly disagree with that stance and say maybe it's being foolish and I'm being optimistic. So that's okay too. You're welcome to have your feelings about things. I just know that I just don't think the government has our best interest in mind. Forgive me for saying that. I just don't think. I think we have other agendas, and I just don't think that it's not about the little guy. So I'll say it. That's just my personal stance on it. Who's the workout guy? Here, let me share this tip for you guys, and then we'll hang out for just a couple more minutes. I see we're close to the top of the hour, so that concludes our unofficial conversation. Let me get this contact for you guys. Good health contact. Again, times of crisis, the reason I had you guys write down earlier, change is good, is it breaks our patterns and it breaks our habits. So use that to embrace some new healthy habits. Let me get you guys this Instagram. Okay, so it's his Instagram, if y'all are in an Instagram, is Coach Jeremy 305. Okay, Coach Jeremy, I'll type it in here. Let me get him up here so you guys can see this cat. This dude's ripped. I met this guy at the Summit of Greatness last year. So here's Coach Jeremy 305. Follow this dude. I'll post it in there. You guys can read that. Met him at my friend Lewis Howe's. He does the Summit of Greatness every year. It's a lot of health and fitness professionals, but this dude's awesome. He puts out a lot of really great content, and he's doing these home workouts for free. So if you guys want to jump on, it's a totally body weight exercise thing. You don't need any weights for it, and he's a energetic dude. So it's at Coach Jeremy 305 on Instagram. I think it's 6 p.m. Eastern home workouts. Okay, cool. Bonus content. You guys don't know you're getting that today.
Hey,
So let's see
Gabe.
here. Go ahead.
Abe, I think you sent that to all panelists, or did you do everyone also?
Let me do it in the Facebook group at Coach Jeremy 305 on Instagram for home body.
And I just switched out of the call, so now my video's down, but that's okay.
All right, cool. So very cool. Marcia Roberts, very encouraging moving forward. So let's summarize this for today is keep doing what you're doing. I think Grant Taylor and I are all of the same belief. Now is not a time to shrink. Now is a time to grow. That's lesson number one. Number two, there's going to be new opportunities. Every time the market shifts, it's going to shake out the weak hands. Weaker sellers are going to leave. It's going to leave more opportunity for you. So stay the path. Number three, take a long-term approach to this whole thing. Okay. When you're unsure what to do, a wise man once said, do nothing. So, which means change nothing. So if you're not, it's like, should I raise my prices? Should I lower my prices? Should I buy more of this? Just keep doing what you're doing. If you're going to adjust anything, adjust to the household essentials, which you will begin seeing more on the Cheddar list starting immediately. And we're going to keep farming those and harvesting those for you guys. And the last piece and the last message for today, biggest message, I think Grant Taylor, we're all in agreement, is to have peace.
Yeah.
Okay. We serve a mighty God. Have peace. If you're feeling anxiety or freak out, just go into prayer and worship. I promise you, when you're in prayer and worship with open hands, open heart, it is impossible to experience peace and love at the same time that you experience fear. So fear melts in the presence of peace and love. And that's why when you just, the mention of the name Jesus, and the enemy flees the room. So you can even talk to yourself. Like I do this sometimes, guys. Like I'll walk in, I'll be feeling anxiety. I'll be like, in the name of Jesus, I command you to leave, like get behind me, Satan, and have peace. And the weirdest thing happens where peace just overwhelms me every time.
Yep.
So in prayer and worship, if you guys are the worshiping type, or if you're not, now is a good time to start. I've learned this over the years. Grant, I don't know if you've experienced this. I used to think that, when we would go to church and worship, that it was like God like needed praise or something, but he doesn't. I'm actually, as I'm growing in wisdom, starting to learn that it's actually more about cleansing my heart, like being in praise and worship. Actually, like he doesn't really need it. So just be in that place though. And I want to encourage you guys in that stuff. And we got good stuff coming, man. That's the most important thing. This too will pass. Look through it, and that's what's happening. So, hey, closing thoughts from either of you guys and or both. Grant, anything you want to add?
No, I agree with you 100%. I appreciate the way you ended this call because, to be honest with you, I 100% agree, man. The name of Jesus is powerful, and prayer is powerful, and just it's good to have faith in God, because to be honest with you, like I said, sometimes I think, why am I not afraid, and why am I not fearful? And it's because I trust, I trust in God. And when I do experience fear, because let me be honest, I mean, I experience fear sometimes, and oftentimes it's when I'm laying in bed at night. And I'll tell you, the one thing I continue to pray is I pray over my family. I pray over our health and our safety. And I trust that no matter what happens, we're good. It'll be okay, and I'm so grateful for that. I mean, business is good. Living in America is amazing. The greatest country on the planet, but God is better, and just grateful for that. So.
Yeah, man. Taylor, what do you think, man? Closing thoughts?
Well, you guys have said it. I would say that if anyone on this call, and this is we're in a business space here. But if anyone's on this call, you're wondering what we're talking about, you have questions, or you're like, how, what piece, like, what are you guys talking about? I don't know. I'm going to open myself up. Feel free to reach out to me, ask questions. I'll be more than happy to answer, talk to you, whatever that may be, and just kind of share it. Like I said, we're a family here. We're pretty open about our faith. So anybody out there who is curious, please feel free. You got my own Facebook, so.
You.
I appreciate that, Taylor. I appreciate that, man. Yeah, there's something powerful that happens. Yeah, if some of this stuff's distracting you guys and you're not into it, that's cool. You can turn it out if it's speaking to you. And I personally believe, and God's been preparing my heart for this for a couple of years, that when a crisis comes, it really creates a vacuum for leadership, and people's ears are turned. And I think if you don't know the Lord and he's like speaking to you, I think a lot of people are going to come. Like when stuff goes down, here's what I've learned about God. A lot of times people say, how do you find God? Well, in America, when you're comfortable, man, it's very easy to miss him. Like we're so comfortable. The enemy doesn't have to. That's why we don't have like a lot of crazy stuff spiritually happening here, because we're so comfortable. But when stuff goes down, dude, when stuff's uncertain in your life, people turn an ear and start paying attention, and the kingdom grows. So I'm all down for that. And I think there's a ripe opportunity for people to listen and to seek the Lord now, because, stuff's uncertain, man. If you take away food and clothing and shelter from people, and they get a little crazy, but it's a good time for that. So anyways, love you guys. Well said today. Have peace through the season. That's the biggest thing, man. We wanted to share just kind of a little behind the scenes, what we see happening. Taylor and Grant, we haven't talked about what these look like going forward. I'd like to propose we do some more frequent pop-ups with the group. I think now's a time for us to come together as a community and thrive. And I see Cheddar and all of us a part of this community coming out the other side of this prosperous and stronger than we were going into this. And there will be some people that leave the space. Yes. There'll be some sellers that double down. I've already spoken with a couple of friends who have had 2X and 3X sales that are in certain categories. I'm seeing that in some of our categories. I've got another private label product that's like it's like a kids type activity. That little sucker is selling like crazy right now. So it's all like, you just got to be able to roll with the punches. Like when Amazon and things change, you got to be flexible. And I think that's so much of being an entrepreneur, is being able to be flexible and stay ahead of the curve. So anyways, love you guys. Stephanie Cochran, appreciate you being on today. She says, thanks for your leadership and guidance in all things. There will be more of this. We plan to really press into this season and time with you guys. Penny Fieldler says, amen. Cindy Dillahunty, so good to see your picture and face in here, Cindy. She's a good friend of ours from several years ago. She was actually at one of our first events. So great to see you here, Cindy. So, all right, guys, let's wrap up. If you're watching this on YouTube, we're going to try and grab a recording of this. Be sure to hit the subscribe button below, like the video, leave a comment if you agree with us or disagree with us. Love to know what you guys are thinking. And Taylor and Grant, appreciate you guys, man, working hard. More good stuff to come.
Thank you, Gabe.
Appreciate you too, bro.
Yep.
All right, guys. Well, have a great day, Cheddarville. Stay safe, stay peaceful, okay? And we'll see you guys soon.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everybody.